Our focus will be looking at the policies and the practices and the procedures of the BART Police Department and whether or not they conform to state law. And to the extent that we do see any policies or procedures that are violative of any state or federal law, we will bring those, of course, to the attention of BART, and we will make appropriate recommendations as to those policies. Some examples of what we'll investigate is, of course, whether or not the use of force by the officers was appropriate, whether their conduct with the public was appropriate, and that would involve anything from verbal or physical contact with the public, or any confiscation of property, including cell phones and videos from the public. We'll be looking at the use of tasers and whether or not the use was appropriate, whether or not the officers had probable cause when they were detaining individuals, and whether they acted as other law enforcement officers would in similar situations. Well, as you've heard, we have just recently been retained, but we have begun the process. We have begun the process of gathering all of the information and evidence that is currently obtained, and we are looking for any other witnesses and any other information that is available, and we've set up a direct number and an email for members of the public to contact us if they have additional information. We currently know of approximately 40 witnesses that have been interviewed, and we are in the process of transcribing those interviews, and we will re-interview those witnesses. We have the video and camera footage that has been obtained, and we have also been doing a review of any internet footage, particularly like on YouTube, and have gathered all of that information. So again, if there is other video information that anybody has, any members of the public, we would welcome receiving that. We have retained a video expert that will enhance and analyze the video footage and construct a timeline of the activities so that we can have an accurate depiction of what actually happened during that incident. As I indicated, we'll review the relevant BART Department general orders and policies, and we will be retaining a police practices expert to consult with us relative to those policies as well. At the conclusion of our investigation, we will be turning over our recommendations to the BART General Manager and the General Counsel, and those recommendations will include findings about each and every officer. They will include a recommendation as to whether or not there should be discipline, up to and including termination of the officers if they acted outside of the BART Department policies or outside of state and federal laws. They will address any need for retraining of the officers or supervisors and any recommended changes of policies or procedures. We hope to have this done, of course, as quickly as possible. Our initial estimate was a 3-month period of time, but of course that is going to be determinative as to whether or not we can, in fact, expeditiously interview all of the witnesses, and depending on the amount of evidence that we receive in the course of this investigation. But we are sensitive to the urgency in getting this conducted, but we have to make sure that we are doing it with all due diligence, but also with professional considerations and in mind. There have been questions about what can be disclosed and not disclosed with respect to the investigation. Because of special privacy protections that apply to peace officers, as well as constitutional privacy protections, we are unable to disclose much of the investigation that deals with the personnel aspects of the investigation. So to that extent, much of the information must remain confidential. But we do understand the need for public disclosure, the need for transparency, and to that extent, we will be providing as much information, public information, as possible, uh, particularly in regards to changes in policies and procedures, any recommendations with respect to training. We will also be looking at the investigation by the BART Police Department that has been conducted thus far, and we will be making comments and recommendations and giving an opinion as to how that process was conducted, and to the extent that we can make that public, we will do so as well. We will also be providing regular updates and periodic reports as to our status so that everybody is kept informed as to where we are at any point in time. That is a very general overview of what we are doing and what we are embarking on.